the universe has a code of 4. Modern scientists have found the genetic code. There's the 4, right? AGCE, right? DNA has a code, a 4 code. Well, the shamans for 50,000 years have, north, south, east, west, and the 4 brains. And so, shamanic healing, you have to set aside the emotions of the limbic brain and get at that neocortex, where the emotions are, where the feelings are. And because the emotions, what we do is we have an imprint. So if I ask you, why do you do that? And you say, well, 10 years ago, this happened. Yeah. You won't remember the details. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza, by the way. Mm-hmm. You won't remember the details of what happened. In fact, you'd recite it incorrectly. What you remember is how it made you feel. Because when you have an experience, it creates a feeling creates an emotion, and that emotion gets imprinted in your body. Emotions are long-lasting. They're long-lasting. Feelings are transitory, right? So neocortex, feeling, transitory. Emotion, limbic, and long-lasting. And so in the shamanic tradition, we have to get at that emotion that's imprinted in your body, that family curse, that trauma that you haven't resolved. Here's another. So Dr. Carl Simonton, he was a radiological oncologist in the 70s, and he saw a lot of cancer patients, and he came up with a theory that when we have these traumatic experiences and if we're not able to resolve them, they become repressed and shoved down into our gut. And by the way, trauma is cumulative. If you have subsequent traumas now,
it reinforces your view on the world.
Exactly. And so you become hypervigilant, and when you're with the passage of time and you're unable to resolve these repressed emotions, the subconscious mind perceives death as a way out of the pain. You're not even aware of the pain. You can see it in some of your maladaptive behaviors, mm-hmm. but we're not consciously aware of this emotional pain that we're suffering from something that happened a long time ago. I do inner child with almost everyone. It's inner child and the garden of life, where we rake up all the dead old leaves of people and things that have hurt them and into a big pile and light them in fire and plant new seeds. It's so critical, and to connect them with, we all have these sub personalities, and the chief among them is the inner child. Anyway, so back to Simonton, the subconscious mind perceives death as a way out of the emotional pain, and will begin to modulate your immune system and your gene expression, and you'll begin to produce dis-ease. I always ask people, what was going on in your life when this started? And I do things, and you'll like this. I do things like the arm stiffening. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that procedure. Okay, so what you do is when you take them deep into hypnosis, and you and then you tell them you're going to touch their arm, and you lift it up and just make it very loose and limp, and you support it like this. And I said, okay, now, and you get very paternal. Now I want you to put all that pain and suffering, all that anger and pain. I put it in your arm and make it stiff as a board. Stiff it, stiffer, like a telephone pole, like a rod, like a steel rod. Make it stiff, and then let it go.
Okay. And then just drop the arm. That's it. Straight.
Yeah. Okay. It goes from stiff as a rod to limp, ragdoll. And another great book, The Body Keeps the Score. So what we do is we somatize these emotional problems into our body. Mm-hmm. And these are all emotional problems that manifest as unexplained physical maladies. And so what I do is I get it out of their body. And it's super cool to see them. Like I'll say, well, are you ready to give this up? Well, if I could give it up, I'd have done it years ago. I'm like, yeah, but if you can, If you could give it up, are you ready? Well, yeah. And then I do that. And then I do that arm stiffening. And then like with fibromyalgia client, the one I'm most proud of, 9 years. And I did the arm stiffening and had to let it go. And then we did some more stuff. And I told her, I'd asked her what life would look like, what she would do and all the things. I wrote copious notes about what life would look like and all the things that she would do and who she would do it with. And I said, I want you to imagine now it's gone and it's never coming back, and you can get your life back to normal, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to visit them, and you're going to go here, and you're going to do all everything that she told me, I gave it right back to her in hypnosis.
Okay.
And I said, okay, now, when you're ready to let this go, when you're ready to be done with this, and when you're ready to get your life back, your arm is going to begin to lift and rise. Lifting, rising, rising, lifting. Your arm will just begin to lift and rise. Okay. And nothing happened. And when I was a brand new hypnotherapist, I would have been mortified, but I'm not. I'm patient. Lifting and rising. When you're ready to let this go, your arm will begin to lift and rise. Nothing. Then I'm quiet for a while. Okay, when you're ready, lifting and rising, rising, lifting, lifting, rising, rising, lifting. And all of a sudden, it began to jerking, small jerking motions, lifting and rising, rising and lifting, small jerking motions all the way up. That's right. When you're ready, it's going to go. I'd already preconditioned her to her arm being up like that. I already preconditioned her because I made her arm up here and so I already preconditioned her to an arm raising. And now I'm telling her that when she's ready to be done with this, her arm is going to lift and rise, rising and lifting, lifting and rising. And all of a sudden she's here like this. And her arm is sticking straight. My congratulations, it's gone. Now we're going to come up from 0 to 5. 0, let's shut the door to the subconscious mind and block all negative. 1, slowly and calmly coming up out of the state of hypnosis. 2, physically aware, mentally alert. 3, coming up higher. 4, eyes beginning to open. 5, eyes open, wide awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake. And here's her arm sticking straight out. And so the first thing she sees is her arm sticking straight out, demonstrating that her body said, I'm ready to get rid of this.
Wow. And what was her reaction?
Wow. Just like yours was. And so we finished up. I'm like, okay, all right. And I said, I'm okay. I'm going to give you 2 weeks to just let this. And 2 weeks later, I pinged her. I'm like, ready for your next session? And I'm like, holding my breath.
Yeah.
She said, yes, I'm ready. I'm like, and then now I'm like, oh, what do you want to work on?
Yeah.
Now I'm holding my breath. Oh, no. She goes, motivation. I've been sleeping in and depressed for so long. I don't know I want my freaking life back. And so I'm like, yeah, it's gone. Now she wants motivation because she wants to learn how to live again.
Exactly, right? She got rid of the negative. She's done with the negative. It's over. It's all positive.
That's right. So what she did was she had been going through a terrible divorce and custody, and she had been in the Air Force. She was very strong, very tough, an executive in the man's world, working in the legislature, and her body was super strong, but she was an emotional marshmallow. But she never let anybody see that. I saw it because we spent a lot of time in therapy. But no one else saw it. She's a really tough exterior, Mm-hmm. And so she shoved this emotional pain into her body because she knew she was strong and could take. Her body was strong and could take it.
Yeah.
So she somatized this emotional pain, and it became this list of autoimmune symptoms that go into the bucket that just get pills. You know what I mean?